Well, hello everyone. How are you doing this week? Looks like we're reopening a little bit, and I'm wondering how you're navigating those waters, what you feel safe doing, and what you still don't feel safe doing. I think that we're all trying to figure it out, and it's creating a whole nother layer of uncertainty, different than what we've felt for the last 6 weeks or so. Uh, I am struggling with the message this week. I'm not sure why, but I think I'm just wondering what it's going to look like, and it in the midst of all the fear and pain that so many have suffered. There have been some uh, reveals of character, revelations of character that are signs of hope, and how people are caring for one another, and how everyone was willing in just a matter of hours, almost just 48 hours or so, to go from having your normal life to sheltering in, and doing it because you wanted to help others and you wanted to stay safe yourself. But this was something that we were asked to do as a collective body, and we did it, and it did good. So I guess one of the things I'm wondering is, we've had some moments of connectedness even in the distancing, and I'm prayerful and hopeful that we can carry this forward into whatever a new normal will be. And then I'm also a little bit afraid that our human nature, our ways of dividing from one another, and you can already see it happening in some of the protests and some of the different things that, will we just go back to being that completely divided people that we were before we went into sheltering in? And then I guess I'm also thinking, what do we want it to look like? It's not going to be the same normal that we've had before this, but what are some things that you would like to carry with you into this? What do you want your new normal to be? The passage in John for this week, the lectionary passage, is about Jesus as the Good Shepherd. And all through the Bible, they use this imagery of a shepherd king. And the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, thinking of God as a shepherd king. And it seems very radical and different from the traditional views of kings throughout history. You have emperors and pharaohs, and they're always about the power, and the coercive power, the oppressive power, the if you oppose me, I'll kill you power, and the winning power. And then there's this shepherd king image, and it goes back, this image of a shepherd king actually goes back to the Sumerian in 5000 BC, that and they're credited with the invention of civilization, while so many other peoples were still in the Stone Age. But their notion of a king wasn't of an emperor or a pharaoh, this oppressive nature of a king, but a shepherd king. In fact, even the images, the stone images that they have found, they'll have instead of having the big, swords and all of that, they'll be wearing a shepherd's cap and holding a lamb in their arms. And this notion of a kingship being led by someone who is compassionate and worried about all of their flock, concerned and providing and protecting through all things, through all dangers, through the wilderness, the desert, in the good times, always looking for water and nourishment. And that's the kind of idea that brought about civilization. I love that. And that's the only kind of idea in which any civilization can truly thrive. We're all are mutually flourishing. And I know I say that a lot, but that's what we find in the scriptures. That's what we find Jesus talking about when he's talking about this kingdom of heaven? And so often we distort this image into being something about power and money and things and who wins and who loses and who has the most weapons, and we distort it. And sometimes even as a church, as the capital C church, we become more about institutions and power than we are about caring for one another. And so I guess what's on my mind right now is we've had this opportunity to have a lot of illusions and distortions pulled aside and reveal that we are actually all vulnerable and we actually all need each other. And so I'm hoping that we can take this with us. And I'm thinking in my own mind, what would I like for the kingdom to look like, the realm in which I live to look like, and what part do I need to play in that? Where am I blinded to the needs of others, and where have I been exercising my privilege instead of reaching out and empowering others? And what kind of leaders do we want to be leading this new normal of ours? And what kind of responsibilities are we going to require of them, and what kind of accountability and of ourselves as well? So I think all I'm going to ask of you this week too is to be thinking about these things. And I think they stem from what your image of God is. And maybe we have an opportunity during this time of transition and movement into new normals is to really spend some time. Who is God to you? Is God a person? Is God an idea? Is God an energy? My ideas have changed about that through the years, and moved more into a more expansive flow. And if Jesus is the embodiment of God, if Jesus was God incarnate, then God has to be compassionate, and God has to be caring, and God has to be about empowering those who are the least of these, those who are the ignored, the social outcast. God has to be about healing, and God has to care about what we care about. And so if we want to show God love, then we need to care about what God cares about, right? And so in this new normal of ours, as we venture out, then maybe it's an opportunity for us to be called back to that original idea of what it means to be a civilization. And that's one where we are led by compassion, and where we care for one another in ways that lift each other up. Maybe it could not be about winning for a while. I think I love the fact that we're talking about sports coming back, but isn't it weird that not only did we have to shelter in, but a lot of the things that we would focus on naturally in a sheltering in time would be about sports, and for sports to be taken off the table for a while, there's not been any winning or losing. We've just been caring for one another. I love that. Now, I like sports, so don't get me wrong, but I just think it's interesting that in this time, to have winning and losing taken off the table, where it became about all of us. So maybe there's some gifts in all of this time that we've spent, and I grieve for those who have lost loved ones, and grieve for those who've lost jobs, and we don't have any idea, yet what the future will bring and what the impact on the economy will be. And it's probably going to be a lot harder than I think it will be at this moment, and it will require much of us. But I pray that the love and the joy that has bubbled up between humanity right now, I pray that will be the source, that will be the source of our new creation. So, as you can see, I really don't have a sermon for you today. I just just have those thoughts. And I pray that you will spend some time too, that you won't rush too quickly back to feeling that pull to get stuff accomplished or to do too much or just to get back into it. So do what you need to do. Take care of what you need to take care of. But take care of yourself. And spend some time dreaming and imagining, what do you want this to look like? What do you want your new normal in this new season of your life to be? And remember that we are held in love by a force, a power, a God that cares for us, that has compassion for us, that provides for us, that protects us, that forgives us, and that loves us through all things. Remember that you were wonderfully and fearfully made by the Creator God, and that you've been lovingly redeemed by Jesus the Christ, and that by the power of the Holy Spirit, you can dream and imagine what you want your new normal to be, and that in that same spirit and in that way of Jesus, you can live it and be it. God bless you, and go in peace.